are going to have a panel discussion on From Home to Homeland, Shaping Up the Security Culture in India. We are privileged to have an incredible line of speakers in this panel, prepared to be inspired, challenged, and empowered. I would like to invite Dr. R.K. Tyagi, CSM Senior Vice President, CISS Services Limited, on stage as the moderator of the panel discussion. As Senior VP at CISS Services Limited, he drives business growth across multiple regions with 20 years of security and Air Force experience. His expertise include profitability enhancement and personnel management. Now I would like to please invite the respected panel members of this discussion. Captain Gaurav Bajeta, VP Global Workplace TNS Urban Coil. He oversees global workplace and safety operations with Indian Army and CBRE India experience. He is passionate about risk management in startups. Next, Ankit Sabharwal, Head BCM and Security Audit, VFS Global. He leads global BCM and security audits with 18 plus years of experience with credentials including CBCP, CISA and CISM. He has held key roles at Nokia, Symantec and Mondelez in cybersecurity and risk management. Next up we have Chakradhari Rao, founding partner Tango 6 o'clock. CR, as he is fondly called, is a seasoned protection and counter-terrorism professional. He is an alumni of the prestigious International Security Academy, Israel. He is also the security architect and tactical instructor at Tango 6 o'clock, which has been working towards building India's security culture since 2017. And his LinkedIn tagline says, he is an ex-civilian. Next up, we have Prashant Sisodia, Director, VSG Security. Along with his role at VSG India, he is the co-founder of the Brain Hawk Consultants and excels in security operations and sales. Certified in Scrum and TSM, his strategic MBA background drives growth and innovation in operations and consultancy. Over to you. Thank you.
It's my privilege to be here as a moderator. Before we start our panel discussion, I would like to introduce our panelists. Captain Bhatia, if you could introduce yourself.
Captain Gaurav Bajeta. Bhatia is also a nice name. So, by the way, my name is perhaps the most mispronounced surname of the world, starting from Bajeta to Cheetah to Bhatia. And I've been hearing this in school and I enjoy it. I work for a startup called Urban Company, and I head their global workplace administration and trust and safety. And trust and safety is the function which really keeps me connected to the risk management and the security world. And I'm very happy to be here and interacting with everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Ankit Sabharwal.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here. My name is Ankit Sabharwal, and I look after the Global Business Continuity Management and Security Audits Program for VFS Global. Many of you would know VFS Global if you've traveled anywhere more or less across the globe. However, I'm in a personal capacity here. I've worked in the past with organizations such as Symantec, Nokia, and Mondelez, and pleasure to be here and be a part of the panel, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chakradhari Rao.
Check, cash. Okay. Good afternoon all. Chakradhari, friends call me CR. I'm a protection counterterrorism professional. Learned my bit of security from supposedly the best in the world, the Israelis. And well, I was the ex-civilian is basically the armed forces, when they retire, they become ex-servicemen. So when civilians, they step up into the security domain, they become ex-civilians. So that's my logic. So thank you so much.
Mr. Prashant Sisodia.
Good afternoon all. मेरा नाम प्रशांत सिसोदिया है and I am from Vikrant Safeguard India Private Limited. I am working in security industry for last 18 years and in process of learning from all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and as we all know that today's topic is new age threat and new age mitigation. Synergy between security, EHS and adoption of industry best practices. It was very well covered by Colonel Shambal, and also impact on global disturbance on internal security in India. Thank you, Captain Gary Singh sir. Now our discussion would be on the home to homeland security and also shaping up the security culture in India. All our topics are reveals around the security. The security in past, security in present, and security what would be in future. Besides this, the threats which were in past, threats in present, and threats and mitigation in future. So we would be covering on those, and I feel that we need the security culture in India because a security conscious individual create a security conscious family, and a security conscious family create a security conscious society, and many security conscious societies create a security conscious city. Many conscious security cities create a security conscious states, and many security conscious states build a security conscious nation. Now coming to the panelists, my first question is to Captain Gaurav. Why it is important to invest in creating security culture in India? Captain Gaurav.
Thank you for the question, sir. I think before I start answering this question in furthermore detail, I would just like to sum up the answer in just two words. Why do you need to invest in security culture? And the answer is save lives. That's about it. It's as simple as that. Save lives. And everything that we build around the security culture is eventually going to help us save lives. And starting from a small comparison of a country, one is India. Obviously, we're all Indians here. Good that we are at least now finding time to discuss topics around security and just not having conversations of roti, kapda and makan. We have come a long way. Like as a country, we've come a long way. So this is the next threshold where we're talking of security culture. But it's also important that we look up to countries who have been there and done it. Just want to share two examples from Japan, a country I think which sets the gold standard in security culture. I'm sure you all heard or read about this plane crash early Jan this year in Japan. There was a fire in the plane and the 397 people onboarded on the plane were deboarded safely, and then the plane burst into flames. And it was on social media for a long time. The only thing those 397 people did is listen to the crew. And what the crew did is passed the crisis response instructions that they were trained on. That's about it. It was that simple. Right? There was panic, there was fire, they were mid-air, they all could have died. Right? There was obviously panic. They were all shaking, I'm sure. But they all survived. Right? The last earthquake that Japan had, the 7.5 magnitude earthquake, there were only 50 lives lost. Imagine a 7.5 earthquake in India or any other, third world country. There'll be thousands, perhaps lakhs of lives lost. So it's, I think, important while we talk of safety culture and the investment, there are already examples in front of us in countries like Japan on how this culture and how what this investment means and how it really shapes up and it finally ends up saving lives, right? It won't just be about, I would say, training personnel, the security personnel. We push through an agenda in our organizations that there should be more training, the guards should be trained, employees should be trained. The culture is just not about training corporates, it's about training the society. Starts from probably the kids, the kindergarten. My son is going to nursery right now. I don't know if he is going to receive security education. I don't know if he is going to be taught on how to run out of the building if there's a fire, right? As basic as that. So this culture in investment, just not in the people of the country, but then supporting investment in the infrastructure of the company. The culture also follows with the infrastructure, like all our buildings, all our infrastructure have to be safety proof, have to be prepared for any eventuality. So therefore an entire ecosystem kind of gets built around the country. The infrastructure is ready for any crisis, for any fire or a flood or any natural calamity, and the people are ready, the people are trained, and they know what to do when this calamity comes in. And finally, what this investment does is, it simply saves lives. And that's where we want to be. We don't want to lose Indian lives to incidents where the loss of life could have been avoided. Thank you.
The training part in right spirit, if it is given from childhood, it can set the right perspective in terms of creating the culture. Coming down to Mr. Prasant, how does the cultivation of a robust security culture enhance the process of nation building?
So thank you for the question. I think before telling about the impact, I just need to mention what is culture and how we can build this, because I think this is the topic. So I think this is not only the responsibility of government, because government is facilitating with so many things, but I feel the people of India, until unless they don't connect with this idea, they don't feel responsible, we cannot build the culture. I think people are the culture. So at individual level, then community level, then institutional level, we can step by step we can create that culture. Okay, so I just now come back to the question: what are the impacts once the culture has been implemented, and what will be the benefits? So I think if the culture has been inherited in India, then there will be so many benefits at national level, like peaceful society, which can drive happiness, prosperity, and also if the country is safe, a lot of investment can drive from foreign countries, and even the internal investment also can drive. Like you can refer example of Uttar Pradesh. Earlier, investors, businessmen, they were not ready to invest in UP. But now, once things has been changed, the place has been safer for last few years. Investments are driving in the state. So I think this is the one thing. Then we proudly say we are from India, because things are changing. हम लोग बहुत सेफ हैं आज के डेट में. पहले आए दिन ब्लास्ट होते थे, बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती थी, बट आज की डेट में हम बहुत प्राउडली बोलते हैं वी आर फ्रॉम इंडिया, वी आर सेफर, वी कैन give the answer to any enemy at any stage. So I think there are so many things will happen once the culture will build up. Thank you.
So राइट प्रशांत, आपका कहना ये है कि ये सिर्फ सरकार की जिम्मेदारी नहीं है, ये हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी है कि इस तरह का एक कल्चर हम आपस में स्टार्टिंग से बचपन से ही एक ऐसा क्रिएट करें जिससे कि ये आगे जो है इंडिया को एक सेफ मोड में लेके आया जाए.
सर मैं एक एग्जांपल पुट करना चाहता हूँ. आज की डेट में देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पॉलिसीज एंड अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम ड्रिवन बाय द गवर्नमेंट, बट if you see at the ground, the people are not aware or they are not bothered about that. You can see, like, in last 3-4 years, there are so many policies and awareness programs run by the government on cyber security. But still, there are a lot of, cases where, frauds are happening. Even, girls from age from 12 to 15, they have been abducted and, kidnapped. So I think there is a lack of communication. I think apart from, creating the policies, the government think about, bridging the creation and the implementation of the policy. स्कूल लेवल पे भी हमको प्रोग्राम्स रन करने चाहिए. हम फिजिकल टच की, बैड टच, गुड टच की बात करते हैं. आई थिंक हमें वर्चुअल टच की भी बात करनी चाहिए. तो देयर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वी नीड टू डू.
सो आपने एक अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया यूपी का, कि यूपी में पहले काफ़ी गुंडागर्दी होती थी जो आज की डेट में काफ़ी कम हो चुकी है. अलावा इसके जो गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज़ हैं वो सही तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो रही हैं. That need to be taken in a right perspective. Right? Thank you. And Mr. Ankit, how does one go about creating a security program for core security functions or the teams? Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's very important to understand from an industry standpoint that there are a number of very respected armed force, ex-armed forces professionals here, and they've undergone an intensive program to get to where they get to. But when we talk about it from a corporate standpoint, and when we talk about it from a perspective of taking the next step, I think often people struggle in understanding what they need to do. So the first and the foremost element, I think, from that perspective is what kind of framework do we have internally as corporate security or security professionals to build up the capability of our workforce. Do we want to see maybe the entry level touch point in the first moment of truth, which is a security guard of the door, stay as a security guard for the rest of their lives, or are we trying to get them up the curve as well? ACES has a beautiful competency model. I'm sure many of you would have also seen it, starting with foundational competencies and others that you can grow into. And each security program is unique because the expanse of the security program is unique for each organization. An organization may look at loss prevention as a part of security. Some others may bring in supply chain security. Yet another may bring in crisis management and business continuity. So can I now randomly go into the market and look at professionals, and when I don't find the right professionals, crib about the fact that I don't really have good people on the board? That's not really the right way to go about it. So we have to take responsibility as professionals, A, to define what is the requirement for us, B, to chart out the roadmap for our professionals so they understand if they have this kind of experience under the belt, if they have these kind of competencies, that they can actually get to the next level. And have been privileged to be part of many programs like this where we have developed professionals who have even gone beyond the borders and done wonders. So the element here is around continuous learning. The element here is also about having a very focused approach. And this is, I think, where a lot of other business enablers have done a lot better than security. We are still doing certifications from the perspective of, oh, I've got budget, let me just go ahead and invest in a certification. Or I've got money, let me just go and run a program. But we've not really done even the foundational understanding of what is my skill set requirement, what are the training needs, and where is the gap analysis between what I have and where I want it to be. At what level of gaps need to be bridged. And at some point in time, then that ties down to eventually looking at the training content, whether I deliver it internally, externally. And no training program is really comprehensive enough. We need to look at it from a holistic perspective. A typical holistic perspective that many of you would be using in your organizations as well is of a personal development program of a 70-20-10. The 70% being on the job and stretch assignments and other things, 20% being coaching, mentoring, and the final 10% being the training and the certifications. So somewhere I think we overemphasize on certain elements without looking at the bigger picture, sir. So my humble submission is to look at it from a perspective of a framework. What is the organizational requirement of the framework? how do we look at the gaps, and then eventually at what level, what kind of gaps need to be bridged to eventually get to the end result that we want. Thank you.
Thank you.
And actually like to add to what just Ankit said. I think he just touched upon training being a very important component of this culture building. And Indian Army is like the organization which puts training as the spine of the entire organization. From the time the person gets selected, recruited, till the time he retires. There is never a time he is not undergoing training at different forms, in different locations, in different ways. And it is this training that really instills that culture of doing the right thing the right way always. Continuous training. And therefore you will always find the armed forces being the organizations that always stand behind between crisis and countries, right? So it is, I think, training that differentiates organizations eventually on the culture that they eventually create within the bloodstreams of the people who work in that organization.
Yes, I also agree with you that armed forces are shaping the persons in a right way, grooming, training. I also advocate that yes, we should also create a culture wherein the children are given at least 4 to 5 years training on the pattern of armed forces, so that they are seasoned and they are cultured in the way which we require. Next question is to Chakradhari ji. Chakradhari ji, immediate step to start building a practical and relevant security culture would be?
So, I think more than these steps, slightly before will come the philosophy that we need to have. Because what philosophy does is it drives the right intent, the right content into the mechanism that we design. So I think there are two philosophies right now when it comes to security culture. The first philosophy that is going on is see something, say something. Now it's a good one, but there is one challenge with this philosophy. It is like barking dogs. Like how we have on the streets, near next to our house, we have dogs, and we leave them there with a thought process that when a stranger walks in, they start barking. But very important thing here is that the stranger or the adversary, he knows that these dogs bark, they don't bite. Correct? So that is a very important thing that we need to understand. Say something, see something, say something is good, but it's just barking. But what we need is a different philosophy when it comes to handling security culture of a nation which is 1.4 billion. Where the police to civil ratio is 1:600 on paper, but I am told that on ground it is into a couple of thousand. Where the emergency response or the police response is close to around 10 to 15 minutes, while it takes 30 seconds to get molested, maybe 10 minutes to get raped, 3 minutes to get kidnapped. Correct? So when the crime exposure to crime is such short, 10 minutes is a very, very long time to have a response. So basically, the philosophy that we need to have to build a security culture for a country like India, populous country like India, is when you see something wrong, do something right. So we need people who are trained to do something and not just talk about what's happening there. Because that is when what we will do is that we will create a significant threat to the threat. And that, in my view, is one of the biggest deterrents that you can ever have. Because if I as an adversary am seeing that if I do something, the response to that is going to be a threat to me, I will not do it. As simple as that. Okay, so that being the philosophy, I think 3 steps, quick steps that we need to do, we need to take to start building our security culture. The first one is identify our threats. When I say our threats, I'm not talking about corporations. I'm not talking about, the nation. I am talking, if you're talking about building a security culture in a common man, what is a threat to a common man? We need to go down there. Build that common man's capability to be able to, 1, identify his threat, Second, isolate his threat or isolate himself from the threat. And the third one is mitigate. So identify, isolate and mitigate. So that is one. One, identify the threats. Second, identify our vulnerabilities that are going to be exploited by the threat. Because there is a vulnerability in me and that is what is being exploited. If I don't have vulnerabilities, I don't, then I become a hard threat, not a soft target. I become a hard target. So that's why I keep telling my, my folks that train hard, then you won't become a soft target. So having said that, the third point and very important is train. You identified the threats, you identified vulnerabilities. Now is the time to train. And what do we need to train? When we design the curriculum, we need to keep it SCAPE, S-C-A-P-E, okay? And this SCAPE stands for one simple, because we're talking about a common man. Not an army guy, not a navy guy, not the paramilitary or not the security staff. We're talking about a common man. So the content has to be, the curriculum has to be very simple. C, very crisp. A, it has to be automated. One for training, 1.4 billion population in a security culture is not going to be a man-to-man job. It has to be automated, like how our, Arogya Setu got automated. That was a brilliant one, correct? So it has to be automated. Next, it has to be practical. Something a common man, maybe somebody who's not even educated, somebody like that can understand those principles, security principles, and be able to deploy them in terms of crisis. And last but not the least, it has to be effective. Because the moment it is not effective, people will lose belief in the system and then we go back to ground zero. So I think SCAPE is very important in whatever we do, whether it's common man or building a security culture in our organizations. And the next one is dissemination of the curriculum. So how we take this curriculum to people is the automated way. We need trainers, we need a physical touch, we can't completely go online. But at the same time, whatever this process is, I think we're already late. The best time to build our security culture was 20 years back, the next best time is now. And trust me, as Gary sir said, we're already in the Third World War, which is the psyops. We do not have time. My friends, we don't have time. Time is running out and we need to do what we need to do right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti. And yes, you rightly said, training to 1.4 billion is a Herculean task. But yes, we have to begin from somewhere to achieve the target. You rightly said, identify the threat, isolate it and mitigate. The right way. Coming back to Homeland Security, is any panelist would like to speak on this?
If I could just add a
please.
line. So I started building, the security culture of my nation in 2017. We designed this program called the Israeli Counter-Crime Education. Now, I saw what a security culture is live when I was in Israel. I was fortunate to be there during their Freedom Day, when they celebrate the Freedom Day. And what a spectacular display of patriotism that they have. For that 120 seconds or 60 seconds, the entire nation comes to a standstill. Not a single vehicle moves on the road. All the vehicles are parked on the road, in the center of the road. Nobody honks, nobody does anything. Everyone is out of their cars, their vehicles and standing, attention. So that is Israel. So a lot of times when I hear my friends say that, India should be like Israel. So I tell them that, my friend, we can definitely be like Israel, but first Indians need to be like Israel. So unless and until we're going to have that attitude change in us, and we will take that, micro responsibility of securing myself, and like how Kumar Saab said, my square inch, I don't think India will ever even, come close to what Israelis do in their space.
Thank you. We quickly will take two questions from the audience as the time is running away.
So, like what you said just now, that Indians need to be like Israelis. Now, Now, every Israeli is a security professional. Do you agree to that? That every Indian should also go through?
Sir, security culture.
Culture is correct.
That's it. That's more than enough. Trust me.
Any more question? Yeah, please.
Someone talked in the panel regarding how security should not be considered as a liability or rather a cost center, but rather as a mandate. So how do you, there are a lot of corporates who still consider security as a cost center, right? So how do you bring that change from the psychologically to the corporates, the CSOs? I'm sure there are a lot of CSOs in this room. How do you make security a priority and make it as a cost center so that people can invest in technology, people can invest in training resources to improve security? So how do you bring that cultural change?
I'll just add a couple of points and then hand it over to the panel. I think it's very important to understand that usually when we talk about security, we can't have a loosey-goosey picture of what we're trying to achieve. And it's very typical and very difficult for security professionals typically to get down to the key performance indices, KPIs, metrics. So until you're not able to show a clear return on the security investment, it will always be considered a cost center. First of all, I think we need to move away from that mentality. Security is not only not a cost center, at a bare minimum, it's a performance center. And if you actually externally interface and if you have the ability to generate more business or provide an input in generating new business, sustaining new business, then you're actually also partially a profit center. So I think a part of the trick lies in understanding what kind of metrics are we really looking at from a security professional standpoint, and how well are we able to capture it and talk to the management about it, because that's their language. We can do the VUCA way, we can do the fear-mongering way, and it'll get you a certain budget, but that will typically be the nibbles and the bits that are left behind. If you want to become a priority, you want to talk and understand what's the business's priority, align your program to that, align the metrics to that, and present a holistic picture. That's just my 2 cents.
I'll just share my thought, but this is more of a joke, but it conveys the message. And I'd heard this in another seminar. So to get approval on a budget from your CFO and your CEO, you take them to the edge of your building and you put the other building on fire and you make them see that fire and say this fire could be on us also. And then they kind of get freaked out and they say, okay, we will give you the budget that we want, we don't want this fire. I'd maybe go a step further. If I have to get that budget, and this is a joke and this is not for my company, this is just a joke. If I'm on the ground floor, I'll put the first floor on fire. If I'm on the first floor, I'll put the ground floor on fire. And then I'll tell my leadership that the only man who can get you out of this fire is the security team. Or the only team that can get you out of this fire is us. So you better give us the money we want.
So I'll just add to that, even companies like Norton Antivirus, they do this trick. So they'll hack into your systems and then they'll show a pop-up that, hey, your system has been compromised and blah blah. And then they'll kind of encourage you to buy their software. So it's this exactly same thing what you say. It's not a joke. There are global multinationals who are actually using that same trick to...
But I just want to add something. It's very good when we look at this as a joke. But I mean, just look at the sad part of it. Just look at the sad part. We as security professionals, we as somebody who's protecting, what means to us, we are trying to sell our product by inducing fear. I mean, how more disgusting can somebody get? So, so I think that needs to change.
Yeah, it should be a last question. Yes.
So I'm just sharing an anecdote. I live in a condominium with 3-tier security, but last month there was a theft, and there were security guards at every tier. So now we have my gate, and now we know who is entering the colony and stuff like that. But somebody stole dustbins from somebody's house, outside somebody's house. So
Insider threat.
Insider threat. So having that security culture is very important. But coming back to what Sir had said, I have started my own company and I do a lot of training and awareness. I think that change is coming, which is why I'm able to make money. is because I get most of my money from training and awareness. But people want to spend on training and awareness, and as Captain Gaurav said, that Indian Army has been trained very, very efficiently, and I think that culture is also seeping in the civilians like CR, ex-civilian or me civilian. So we are trying to develop that culture. Yeah.
Thank you. And in terms of training, when you said about training, yes, today's session is about training only. We have one Mr. Dave, Namesh Dave from Rashtriya Raksha University, who are into training, who has come here. We have been associated with the sector councils, they are into training, but yes, it has to be taken in the right spirit. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Last one.
Yeah, please.
So, I do not have a question, but when we are talking about culture, I have few examples that I have, myself done. So, ऊपर वाले फ्लोर में फायर या नीचे वाले फ्लोर में फायर नहीं. I started my career with a company called Ceasefire. और my territory was Trinagar, in Delhi में Trinagar. So I actually used to do, when you go to, 30 years ago, I am from Ceasefire, नहीं हमारे पास लगा है. So 25 साल पुराना extinguisher लगा. So I used to literally go, put up a cigarette in my, and lit up a matchstick. मतलब ये अगर गिर जाएगा ना, या तो आपको मालूम है क्या होगा? And that's how I sold a lot of Ceasefire that time. One. Two, my gate. So it's again about the culture. When you have my gate, you think everything is secured. But if you ask a Swiggy, they will do a pre-approval 20 minutes ago. 30 minutes ago, they will ask for a pre-approval, and for your convenience, you will also do it. So it's again about the culture. So two things I just wanted to make my comments on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we end up, sir. We are already running out of time, sir.
Just a point about ICIS.
Yes.
I just want to add that ICISSM basically is running a lot of courses. For training and awareness, you need a certification. So we have a lot of courses for everybody. Today, the situation is we have to impart education to people about the training and what is the importance of training and a quality training. So you need, so today, I find a number of places where they just get some guy from outside, put him in uniform, he's a security guard. No, there has to be a certification, and ICI SSM is running a lot of courses. I'll request all the CSOs and companies, people who are here, please subscribe to that and run these courses so that you have these standards for right from a security guard to the middle level to the senior most level. They are certified people, certified security professionals who should be there. That is, then only you will be able to build up a quality security culture in the country. Thank you, sir.
I would like to take it forward. My company has taken the benefit from ICISM in terms of getting around 30% trained on security risk, security survey, risk assessment, and also 10% have been certified as a CSP and 2 are CSM. So with this, we come to close this session, home to Homeland and creating the security culture in India. Thank you very much.
Big thanks to our insightful panel members for their dynamic discussion. Your expertise has enriched our understanding of the topic. Let's give them a round of applause. I would like to now invite Colonel Sanjay Srivastava on the stage to facilitate our panel members. Our moderator, Dr. R.K. Tyagi. Captain Gaurav Bajeta. Mr. Ankit Sabharwal. Mr. Chakradhari Rao. Mr. Prashant Sishodia.